Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I am doing my NoBuy art supply in-depth topic, and I wanted to talk about what I am calling blurring the lines and explain kind of what that means to me and how that might be a temptation or an issue that might be popping up with you. Now, I purchased these two items. This one was from Amazon, and I purchased this, I believe, in 2020. And this is something I purchased last year in 2021 from Etsy. I will link both these below. Where I live, I have to have everything kind of shipped in. I'm in a forest, so some of where I purchase things is super limited to me. Now, this was something I had purchased for our homeschool. We homeschool our 3 kids since the pandemic. And this was something I thought I would need for maybe lesson plans or putting together or making notes or assisting and helping out. Like, I had the best of intentions for this 100-page college ruled, it's kind of a 7x9-inch weird little notebook. And this was something I had purchased for myself, and I thought, ooh, it's spirally bound, it's made by Travelers, it's the white Midori paper, I could take this traveling, you know, I could hold it with one hand and draw with one hand, and it would be just a really simple take hiking or just go to a quick trip to the beach or something, and I would only need 2 items, a pen and this, and I can, you know, I don't have to bring anything else. Like, I thought the minimalism of this would be ideal. And this is 100 pages too, I believe. What happened was this. So, when I started doing my Art Around the World notebooks, I realized there were, or my Art Around the World videos, I realized there was too many notes that I needed to keep track of to keep dates and locations and things accurate. And then for some of my everything paper, I will show you what this looks like. I tape in a couple things, but you can see how small I write. I do 2 lines per college ruled line. And then when I talk, this is about 8 minutes. So when I am doing a lot of my videos, like this one is on acrylic art mediums, I am reading notes, keeping track of my time so the camera doesn't cut off, making sure everything is centered on the screen while reading really tiny print without my lights on in the dark so it's not totally washed out. It's not as easy as it sounds, but I realized I needed this. I realized I needed a notebook where I can make tons and tons of notes for accuracy, and like, here's the one I did on speedball paper. And then I have things over here in case I lose my place to kind of figure out where I'm at while I'm reading and doing some of this, because I have a lot on my plate and my memory I need assistance when I go to do stuff. This was a Hong Kong museum. Like, I just need help in remembering all the things I have to remember for the day. And this is what my notes look like. So, this notebook, I am over halfway through it. It's kind of blurry, I apologize. This is the one I did on Legion paper. I make notes. I make notes for accuracy. I make notes for help. So this quickly became something I needed for my channel, for my art. This one that was supposed to be for my art went to my homeschool. I started working on a Japanese workbook because I couldn't find one that had Japanese history, and I started doodling because I wanted little images on the top of each page where my kids were going to write notes and write about all these different topics. Ooh, do you want to see an illustration fail? So this is supposed to be Japanese maple leaves, and when I put them on the page, I scanned them and dropped them in. I was like, that doesn't look like Japanese maple leaves. So here I am drawing ikebana and famous landmarks and customs and lifestyles and food, and I did animals that are native there, I did clothing, I did plants, inventions, tea ceremony, instruments, theater, sports, weapons, folklore. It's everything my kids wanted to know about. So I pulled them in and I said, what are the things you want in a Japanese workbook for Japanese history? And it ran the gamut between fashion, food, and weaponry, because I have 2 daughters and a son. And then, you know, I'm talking about haikus and traveling. They have to make their own trip. And some of this is more of the folklore and legends. So I needed something where I could put all the illustrations down on white paper. This is the one, the Traveler's Company. Here is the traditional Midori paper, but this is the white paper, and it is very thin. I have a lot of ghosting, a little bit of bleeding. And I needed this for homeschool. This became a homeschool sketchbook. Now, this may not be something specific. You may not have a channel or do homeschool, but maybe you are working on the garden or landscaping or layout and you need a sketchbook, or you're doing renovations or something huge project around the house. You need to make notes. You're in college. You need to have some sort of planner or some system for note taking. There are so many different reasons why a sketchbook could migrate over to a household thing, and a notebook for something else could migrate over to your art or your design or something else you're working on and you need to keep track of stuff. And this is what I mean by blurring the lines. I mean, like, you're purchasing something. Here's an outfit I drew. You're purchasing something that you think is for your house, and you end up using it for more of your art and design in the year, and then it becomes an art supply. Or you purchase something for an art supply and it ends up migrating over to something for household. Maybe you're keeping track of budget, savings, debt, you know, anything that you could be keeping track of. Maybe you're doing car maintenance or you need something in your glove box. It could really honestly be anything. And you lose the sketchbook that was part of your year-long thing to use, and now you don't have it anymore because now it's with household items or house goods or whatever, however you go to classify this. This is what I mean by blurring the lines. So how do you sort of, if you had a very specific amount of sketchbooks and now you've lost one, what do you do? That can be very, very tough. I honestly thought if I had an issue this year, I would go back and create on the opposite sides of some of my sketchbooks, like if it came down to that. I thought about saving all the weird envelopes and mailers that we get for our bills that we actually pay digitally, and saving all those envelopes and doing an envelope thing, and then later mailing them to folks if folks wanted a funny envelope. Just reusing, repurposing, and coming up with other ideas, maybe taking an actual sketchbook and sketching with lines. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, you know, against doing that idea. When I did my Sketchtember this year, there were tons of lines all over the pages, and I used it anyway. I'll link that sketchbook tour. You can see the lines in some of my spreads. But it's really, really hard once you get into the thick of a year to see where you're going to be spending your time. Here's another outfit I did. And figuring out where you're going to be using all your products. So if the scope of your art has changed, if maybe you're moving into commissions and you need to track that and keep track of how you're going to put that together while you're doing everything else in your life, and a sketchbook might be the best note system to do that in, it could also move over. You just have to account for that sort of loss in your inventory, and then make sure you're not purchasing tons of office supplies with the idea in mind, well, if I don't need it, I can art supply it. So be really, really careful blurring the lines. It helps to have backups of things. Like, I have more sketchbooks than I need this year, but not enough to get me through all of next year. So in a pinch, I can use other sketchbooks. It's not a big deal. I have 2 months left. You know, I have all of November, all of December, and that's only 2 sketchbooks I'm going to fill. I just didn't foresee that this was going to change hands and change places with my intent when I purchased these. This is going to be something else that I show my daughter how to sketch and not be such a perfectionist, and move on and just get ideas down, because that can be something that's really hard for illustrators and folks learning art in the beginning, to sort of let go of that idea. So this is going to continue to be homeschool, and this is going to continue to be for my channel, because I can't memorize everything while I'm drawing and keeping track of the time and making sure it's perfectly displayed on the camera. This is blurring the lines. Make sure you have backups. Make sure you're not making excuses or slipping up or not having backup ideas and things that you have a plan for your supplies. Have very clear intentions and ideas as you map out these final 2 months, so you don't accidentally purchase something before the year is through. I hope this video helps. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.